Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 226 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I'm so happy, grateful, and excited that you're here today with me listening along to this. This week's episode is really, vulnerable. I'm always vulnerable, I feel like, and open, but I've gone through some really interesting experiences over the past 6 or 7 years since I've had my business and overcome my food addiction. And I wanted to explore these more in depth with you because I see the way that, these different things can impact me in my life or my business regards to manifestation. And I see the way this impacts my clients. So this episode has really been inspired from some really deep personal experiences and awarenesses and learnings over the past few years, especially over the last few months. So I'm going to dive into that. And I actually did a bunch of journaling on it over the last few weeks as it was all unfolding. And I'm really excited to share just my awarenesses and experiences here from my journal and just my heart of these last few weeks and years of learning. So this week I'm talking about exploring food and body rebellion, ways emotional eating impacts what you manifest, and understanding your body's communication methods. So, I'm going to dive into that right away. I just want to share a couple of key announcements before I get started. And of course, you can review the rest of the show notes at the end of the episode. I will share the rest of them. So of course, the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca /podcast/226. Be sure to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating Podcast on all podcast apps. You can also click through to the link in the show notes. I always just really like to ask everyone that I connect with on social media or clients, what does self-love mean to you? Because I really believe it's become a buzzword and it's one of the most valuable gifts, however, that someone can give themselves. To me, self-love means to treat and honor your body with respect, mindfulness, and positive self-talk, to apologize to and forgive oneself, to take ownership and responsibility for your stuff, to gain freedom from sabotaging mindsets and behaviors, and to build confidence and to be kind and gentle with yourself, to really truly honor your body and make yourself a priority. Trust, safety, freedom, love, kindness, gentleness, healthy, happy, confidence, success, abundance, connection. These are all some of the wonderful feelings and manifestations that happen when one truly does build self-love. Well, how do you do that? How do you build self-love? It is a really fulfilling journey, and it's created by dedicating time for you, by hydrating your body, getting enough sleep, learning to, take time to release your stress and make yourself a priority and do things that make you feel happy. It also means, embarking on the uncomfortable, addressing emotional eating and body image struggles and your hormones and digestion, and being willing to work through, limiting beliefs and challenges. And some of what I talk about today is part of that. Perhaps you would like to get there, but you just have no idea where to start. And you're confused by so many different messages out there. And, understanding your health and unique body love needs is so, so important because everyone is different and everyone has a unique level of support that their body and mind need. So to support building self-love, I am offering my self-love coaching sale on my 6-month and 1-year coaching programs. This is only going on for a couple of more weeks. So if you've been thinking about reaching out and you have not yet, I would highly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. You can click the link in the show notes to schedule a 30-minute body freedom call, and that will secure your savings. Or you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line coaching sale to book your 30-minute complimentary body freedom call so that we can further connect, talk more about your health struggles and goals and where you are seeking support. Again, you can click the link in the show notes to schedule, or you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line coaching sale. And I really do look forward to connecting with you to talk about what it could look like to completely transform your life forever. And so many amazing things come out of that. So if you're scared, I encourage you to bring that fear to the call with you so we can talk through it so that you can get it out of the way and take the action steps that you have been wanting to but have not been because you're afraid. So if you're finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, you suspect your hormones may be off, you continue to be at the bottom of your priority list and self-care continues to be a struggle, you're fighting with your weight, you're just overwhelmed with the whole thought of going on another health journey, well, my friends, welcome to all my listeners who have been here from the beginning, my new listeners, and all of you in between all over the world. I'm so grateful to have you here, and I'm going to continue to dive into the habits and mindsets to help set you on a different path. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So I may tear up this episode because this stuff is pretty fresh. And I love sharing with you guys because it also lets you know that whilst I am an expert in these areas, I'm also human and I have my own little ups and downs with my health and my body and my ego and my relationship, with myself. And so I am really excited and also, feeling a bit emotional about this today. So bear with me if I do get a bit teary. So exploring food and body rebellion. I really want to talk about this because I really believe for a lot of people, one of the biggest reasons why people keep doing diets and failing is because of rebellion that our ego produces. So your ego is your self-sabotaging mindset. We all have one, and your ego is not the real you, the empowering you that wants you to love yourself. That is in your heart. Like the true you is in your heart, the you that, listens to this podcast and goes, I want body freedom, or I want to catch my emotional eating triggers, or I want to have better energy and learn to love myself. Like that's the true you, and your ego is like, just do another diet. Don't reach out to Amber. Do another diet. Do another quick fix. Like that's all you need. Like it would be too uncomfortable or too scary to take a different approach. Like that's your ego. If we want to have a bit of a difference, and the true you is like, no, reach out, get the support. I know it might be scary, but the diets aren't working and I don't want you to suffer anymore. Like that's the true you. So just to give a bit of a separation and what the two look like. And what I find with food and body rebellion, especially with food, is that when you decide to go on a diet, or you're told, okay, when you do this elimination diet, you've had food sensitivity testing done, you can't eat any of these foods for like 2 months, 2 years, 6 months, whatever the time frame is, or the diet says you have to cut out all carbs, or, you go, I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm never eating sugar again because I lose control and I don't want to binge eat anymore. And maybe if I cut out sugar, I will never binge again. Like I used to have that mentality with sugar because it was so addictive for me and it really made me lose control. But the irony of it is the more restrictions that I put on myself around like, oh, I shouldn't have this, I'm afraid of it, it's bad for me. It's like the more I then wanted to rebel and have it, because all of a sudden my ego's like, oh, what? You're telling me I can't have this? Well, I'm going to show you, and we're going to go to town and we're going to eat it all, because if this is the last time we're doing this, we're going all out. And that's that all or nothing mindset as well that can really tie into that rebellion. So I really believe that, as soon as we try to like contain our spirit or like put any restrictions, we want to rebel. And I don't really believe it's about the restrictions. I really think it's about being able to create structure, have guidelines that don't feel so restrictive. Say you have a certain health condition or something that you're trying to work on. I think it's so important to be mindful and try and support your health to the best of your abilities, but it's not about perfection, and it's about being realistic so that you don't go to the space of rebellion. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, what has shown up for me lately with that. And so a question that I want you guys to ask yourselves is if you are going to the space where you're like cutting all this stuff out and you're going, I can't have this, or I've been told I can't have this, and, you're feeling rebellious, it's like, well, what would it mean for you to feel free, even if you had like just some guidelines that weren't so restrictive to follow? Like, could you get to this happy medium place? with some mindful indulgence and mindfulness, because I really think it's about finding that beautiful balance just for us. So the experience that I've kind of been exploring lately, it's not about emotional eating, but what's been so fascinating is it was about almost a year ago now, and I just found that I was having like quite a bit of breast tenderness and just a couple, symptoms like retention and just, ever since I had my food addiction, the one symptom that I continue to deal with, my body continues to communicate with me, though it has gotten so much better, is that I get this warm feeling. So if I eat a food that, gives me inflammation, my whole body gets warm and a little bit puffy. And it's important for me to be mindful that I don't keep eating things that make me warm every day. Otherwise, it's just like my body would get overwhelmed and spill over. And I don't think it would be good for my digestive system. It's so fascinating though, because I don't really get bloated anymore. I don't really get pain, even if I eat gluten or dairy here and there, but it's just this warm feeling. And so I did this really cool test, and it measured all these different temperature points on my body. I think that was last May. And what came up in the results is that I had a really sluggish lymphatic system, and that I still had quite elevated inflammation, which totally would make sense because of the warm feeling that I'm getting. But, it was just really important to get specific and pinpoint these key things. And obviously, if my lymphatic system is sluggish, which is part of detoxification, and I'm not able to move, dead cells and matter and move my lymph throughout my body properly, that's going to have an impact on, my liver being a bit burdened and like my digestion not quite working properly, and some of that leaky gut still going on because my system is still a bit sluggish. And I just, did a bit of further research and exploration and found out that my liver just, for some reason, I just ended up with, a bit of a sluggish functioning detoxification across the board with my liver, with my digestion, and with my lymphatics. So, and then it kind of showed up that, a lot of that lymphatic stagnation was happening around my breasts. And so to obviously be preventative from anything future happening that wouldn't be good for my health, especially with my breast health, I really got into like this amazing lymphatic routine. And I'm just like, okay, like this is the year that I fully heal this like warm feeling. Now that I know what's going on, like I've got to work on my liver. I've got to get my detoxification speeding up, and I'm going to get my lymphatic system moving. And so at the time when I first found the information out, it was kind of a little bit scary, a little bit alarming, going, wow, like this stuff's been going on for a long time and I'm just finding out about it. I think, sometimes I think, well, like, I think I'm in pretty good health, but, when something just still isn't quite in alignment, I think it's so important to dig deeper and to get the answers that you need to get until you find what you need to find to get to those roots. And that's what I do with my clients. And I pride myself on encouraging people to do that. If there's something I can't help them with, and I'll help them find a person who can. But I just think it's so important that we are our own advocates, and we dig and dig and dig until we get the answers that we need. And so essentially, I found it very motivating to go, okay, well, I'm going to be super mindful of doing my best to avoid the few foods that make me warm. I'm going to get into this amazing lymphatic routine. So I do a lot of hot and cold showers. They really help to stimulate my lymphatic system. I do dry skin brushing almost every day. I use the lymphatic cream just to help my stimulate my lymphatic system. Absolutely fallen in love with the infrared sauna. Been going like 2 or 3 days a week, so much that we just bought one because I'm like, why am I still going to this place when I could have bought one by now? And it's like, essentially it's going to be here in a couple of days, and we can't wait to have it at home. So I got into this routine, and I was just like so motivated and so driven that like I just need to heal this, the rest of this inflammation and get my lymphatic system going. And then like everything is going to be awesome. And like, that's it. Like I probably won't have much else healing to do after that on my healing journey. And I just kind of laugh because, even I think, oh yeah, like I've reached the peak of my health and now I just have to maintain it, and like nothing's ever going to happen. And I don't sit there and wait for something to happen, but I just think something that even I have to remind myself of sometimes is like, we're in equilibrium. We ebb and flow. We have ups and downs, and your body's just not ever going to get to the state where she's like, oh yeah, that's it, I'm good now. Like you can kind of just do whatever and you don't have to worry about it. Like I've always sustained a good self-care routine and I always listen to my body, but I just was kind of thrown out of left field when I found all this new information out. But it was also very empowering at the same time. So I got into this lymphatic routine. I'm like being super mindful with what I eat. And then all of a sudden, probably about a month later, I'm nauseous. I've got horrible heartburn. I've got this weird funky taste in the back of my throat. I'm exhausted and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? So I go to the doctor, I get a liver, gallbladder ultrasound, I get a bunch of blood work done. Everything comes back good. And it was actually on a more intuitive manner that one of my intuitives checked in and she's like, you've been detoxing and you've been pushing your body a little too hard. And I didn't even realize it because I was just actually loving getting into this new routine because I was finding like I'm less inflamed, less water retention, getting into a little bit of a routine on the little trampoline that I got and listening to like awesome music and just bouncing along. Like I actually love it. Like it's my favorite way to move my body now because I'm stimulating my lymphatic system and the bonus is that it's good movement for my body and but I'm not doing it actually to go, oh, I need to burn calories. I'm doing it because I'm like, oh, my lymphatics just get moving. And it's so fascinating because once I got into this routine, I was just like so loving it. And I actually just like lovingly accidentally overdid it. And what ended up happening is I pushed out some gallbladder sludge that I didn't even know was there. It didn't show up in the ultrasound, but it showed up more energetically and intuitively, which I totally resonate with because the woman I see is so in tune and so aligned. And I know if I can't figure something out myself, she can really help me. And it came up right away. And I did some more reading and I'm like, this is exactly what's going on. And so then it was like, okay, now you've got to pull back on your routine. And I could feel my ego want to rebel and go, you can't pull back on your routine. Like you've got to get rid of this inflammation. You've got to like get your lymphatic system and your liver going. And so there was that part of me, but then there's the true part of me going, yeah, but I'm to the point where I can't even go and get just a regular massage without feeling nauseous because I'm overstimulating and over detoxing my body so much that my liver can't keep up with the level of toxins that I'm flushing out of the body. So it was just like kind of ironic for me. And that's where this body rebellion came up, was like, my head wants me to keep doing all this stuff, but my heart and my body are going, okay, like we love everything you're doing, but we need a little rest. And like you're processing a lot, you're physically, mentally, emotionally releasing stuff, you're energetically and spiritually releasing stuff. And like, we got to just kind of breathe and take this one step at a time. So it was so important for me to address the body rebellion that my ego was experiencing that wanted me to keep pushing and keep consistent with my routine. Because what was happening to my ego is going, well, you're in this great routine. Like you don't want to like pull back and then have to take longer, or you don't want your results to be limited. It's just all these reasons and stories why I shouldn't. But then I'm going, well, if I don't, I'm just going to keep feeling this way. And this is not optimal to feel this way. And luckily ginger capsules really helped. And so I pulled back on the routine. I also, pulled back because I do celery juice every morning. So I like cut that in half. I stopped my rebounding on the trampoline. I still did a little bit of my hot and cold showers and dry skin brushing, but I stopped the sauna for a while as well. And then, of course, things started to get better because my body could catch up. And so it took a couple months though, and I actually had to really limit my fat intake because my gallbladder was just like, I don't want it. I would eat it and then I'd get this little discomfort. And so I found some really great enzymes with bile to just help me with that in the meantime. But what's so cool is once I moved that sludge out and my gallbladder just caught back up in my liver, oh my goodness, TMI, but like my bowel movements have never been better. Like when I had my food addiction, I was so constipated. I had to take like 15 magnesium a day to have bowel movements. And then when I was nearing the end of my food addiction, I think I actually abused magnesium citrate and I was taking it to have loose bowel movements because it was helping me stay at a lower weight. And then once I realized that I was doing that for all the wrong reasons, I stopped the magnesium and got really constipated again and then started again, but promised myself I was not going to abuse it and use it to try to lose or maintain weight, and that I was actually going to only use it to get my bowels going. But if you are not having daily bowel movements, people, your detoxification is sluggish. It's not working properly. And that means you're hanging on to toxins in your body. That can mean thyroid imbalances, lymphatic imbalances, liver imbalances, gallbladder imbalances. And this is a sign that your body is trying to communicate with you, hey, I need some help here. And this is where further investigation is usually usually always needed. And I have so many clients who we start working together and they're not moving in their bowels daily, but that's so important. But I never would have expected my bowel health to significantly improve that much once I started doing this lymphatic routine. And it's just been so amazing to have that part like really fall into place over the last year. And I was able to really come off the magnesium a few years ago, but it just seemed like some days if I ate certain foods, like my body would just kind of hang on to everything. So it's just awesome to see no matter what I take in, which is usually a lot of really good nourishing food anyway, that my body is doing a great job of detoxification. Another really cool thing that started to happen once I started to get into this lymphatic routine is I used to get a lot of tension headaches, like the side of my neck, the back of my neck, my traps, the tops of my shoulders. And it seemed like, unless I was doing massage, chiro, acupuncture, and like diligently stretching like 5 or 6 days a week, that I'd get these tension headaches. And as soon as I started doing the hot and cold showers, they went away. So it blew my mind because your lymphatics go through that area. And I never would have thought that, that part of me was like so stuck that it was giving me that discomfort and pain. And I have not had a tension headache since I've started this routine. And it just blows my mind because I'm thinking, I wish I would have known this like 10, 15, 20 years ago, but everything is it's meant to, because it would have saved me a lot of grief, a lot of money, and a lot of Advil before I knew about alternative methods and ways to take care of this. So I think it's so important for us to be grateful for when our body gives us symptoms and gives us cues, and for us to take action on that. And if you don't know how to navigate it yourself, to get support from someone who can really help you, because your body is always speaking to you in symptoms. That's your body's way of communication, I really believe. And the more we ignore that, the more things can build up. Or if you're just going, you know what, I have these things mastered, but there's just this one part that I'm just not sure of. And that's what I was kind of feeling for myself. Is I feel overall like I'm in really good health. My hormones feel pretty good, but there's just these pieces that it's not lining up. And so digging deeper and getting more information and doing this for myself, it's really helped me feel grateful, for the symptoms, because then I'm learning and then I get educated and I can do these things for myself, and then I can educate my clients and help them if I suspect this, these may be things going on for them. And it helps everybody. It's a win-win for me, you guys, them, because you get to hear a bit about it as well. So, but that rebellion showed up when I had to pull back on the routine, because I was just like, I'm just going to do this and then I'm going to get there. And we have to remember, and I have to remind myself of this sometimes, like, enjoy the journey. Like, it's going to take time to resolve some of these things that have been going on for years, decades, a long period of time. And so whilst there were these parts of me that are like, oh yeah, in a few months, it'll just all be resolved, or, whatever that is. I was like, the true me was going, Amber, just be patient and take the time you need to take to do this, because once it's done, you'll just be in this optimal place, and you'll be grateful that you took the time, just like with every other part of this journey. So I wanted to talk about the body rebellion, because I really think, we can get set in a routine, think that's all we need to do, and it may work, but then, it may impact other parts of our body, and we may have to rest or pull back or do a little bit less. I find that happens a lot with exercise, and my clients who push their bodies really hard in the gym, and then we get their hormone results back, and like, they're really out of whack, and their workouts are actually not supporting their bodies to balance, and is one of the reasons why they're hanging on to weight. And then we have to start, shifting, making small tweaks, and it doesn't happen for everyone, and it's temporary, and then, they can change it back. But there's rebellion around that. Their egos don't want them to make changes to the routine. But when we can understand, the benefits and why it's happening, it's much more empowering to make the changes. So I think that's just so important. So the food rebellion, which is so fascinating, and this is going to help me tie into manifestation as well. But, something that I was really noticing, so I'm doing this great lymphatic routine. I'm noticing that I'm getting the warm feeling less. Usually it only, for me, the warm feeling or the inflammation would only happen if I'd have a poor sleep, which last year, sleep was not the best. There was some changes in routine in the household, and it's all good because it's better now and sleep is back to normal, but it definitely impacted the warm feeling. And then I find for me, like, just my body loves foods that are not processed. I can have a little bit of processed food, but I find if I have too much of it, then, like, if I say were to eat gluten 2 or 3 days in a row, my body can handle it the first day. But if I do it again day 2, day 3, she'll get that warm feeling. And so where the rebellion really came in for me was actually a few weeks ago. So I, getting this warm feeling, going, this is just a pain in the butt. Like, I just had, my ego took over, and my ego's just like, I'm so tired of this happening. This has been happening for like 10 years. It's definitely not as bad as it used to be, but I wish it would just go away, because I get this warm feeling and then I'm a bit puffy and it's a bit uncomfortable. And then it just makes me frustrated and angry. And then I feel bad because I made my body feel warm and puffy, and I don't want to make my body feel warm and puffy, and I don't want to feel bad. So it's like this kind of little like cycle in my mind that started up. But then there's just this part of me that's like, I'm going to keep eating really good food, but I want to have like a bit more. I find another thing that can make me warm is nutritional yeast. So I try to not really have a lot of it, but we had this awesome cashew cheese, and I'm like, I just want cashew cheese in my salad one day. And then the next day, we ended up going over to some family for dinner, and then like they served something with gluten. So we had that. And then the following day, like we made dinner at home, but for whatever reason, my body was just already stressed out. And so she's giving me this warm feeling. But I kept eating foods that were making me warm. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I know this is making me warm. I'm in this state of rebellion because my body's just, my mind, my ego is just like, I care, but in a sense, like there's something for you to learn here. And I just intuitively kept feeling like there's something for me to learn. I'm going to continue to explore what this is, because like I've written down pages and pages of stuff in my journal, and I'm really excited to share with you what showed up as I went through this process. So I actually feel like the getting warm, the feeling of me getting warm, the inflammation is actually me releasing some of the past trauma and emotions that I think that accumulated from the food addiction. Because the food addiction was very intense for me, from age, I just turned 22. It was just around that time, or 21. And then like from 21 to 24, it was very intense. It was very hard on my body. And so for me, I really believe that, sometimes I eat some of these foods, and even still to this day, I'll just use like ice cream for an example. Like we'll have some so delicious caramel salted cashew ice cream, and, I'll grab some, put it in a bowl, sit down and eat it. And then my mind will go, remember when you used to eat 2 or 3 pints of ice cream and how crappy you would feel afterward and how bloated and warm. And then it's like my mind instantly goes to how warm and bloated and unwell I used to feel. And like, I truly think that was a traumatic experience for me. Every time I binged, I would binge to the point of being so physically hurt and bloated and in pain and emotionally upset that like that's trauma to put yourself through. And I put myself through it so many times, and I've done a lot of healing around it, but I really believe my conscious and subconscious mind, still brings up these memories to help me release it and to have compassion for where I came from. So, sitting down and eating the foods that used to be massive trigger foods for me, they bring up old memories. And I have so much compassion for, where I came from and who I used to be and what I went through. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. But what's so fascinating about the whole scenario is I just think it's so much more than eating a food and getting an inflammatory reaction. I think that there is an energetic aspect, a spiritual aspect, a physical, mental, and emotional aspect. And this is, something that I'm building more acceptance with, and something that I really learned over the last few weeks through my rebellion over the last year with my body rebellion when I went through that gallbladder detox, and then it's fine now. But then I went through a rebellion again with my body a few weeks ago when my sleep had gone to crap for a few months, which has since been resolved. But, I was going, I don't want to stop my like rebounding routine. I don't want to stop doing some of, the things I'm doing for my lymphatic system, but it's just making me so tired. And so again, I had to surrender and just focus on sleep and getting my cortisol levels down because they had just bumped up a little bit from the poor sleep. But what I've learned is the sooner we can step out of rebellion and the sooner we can just honor what our body needs and be flexible and let go of the resistance, the sooner the body will come back into balance. And then you can, reintegrate some of the things within your routine that maybe you have given up or that you had to stop just because it was not in alignment with where your body's at right now. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that I can share for today is if something is not in alignment, how powerful and empowering could it be for you to just temporarily shelve it and then come back to it, once you're feeling a little bit better, because that's what I've been able to do now. I did the resting, I stopped the mindful movement and a couple of the other things, and I did more infrared sauna instead. And I tell you, everything feels back to normal. My cortisol feels good again. My energy is awesome. And I've just been getting back into my walk and my rebounding, and it feels really, really good. And I also know when to draw the line and when to not overdo it. So it's really understanding that we can get into these rebellious stages with food or our bodies or both, but there's always an opportunity to learn. And so what I've learned with the food rebellion I went through a few weeks ago is that I'm actually still processing trauma from the food addiction. These thoughts and memories and, associations with food. I no longer fear any food. I don't struggle with any food, but there's still memories there that I'm processing. There's still energetic, mental, emotional pieces that I am releasing from my body, my mind, my spirit. I really believe in all of that. And the more that I deepen my relationship with myself, the more I realize how connected everything really is. The No Sugarcoating podcast is proud to partner with Spruce Decaf Coffee Company, North America's only 100% chemical-free certified organic decaf coffee company. They were born to give decaf coffee drinkers the option to have a variety of high-quality coffee to choose from, so stop drinking decaf loaded with chemicals. All of their coffee is certified organic, 100% chemical-free, Swiss water decaffeinated, and best of all, tastes and smells amazing. You can find them at bluesprucedecaf.com or well.ca if you are shopping from Canada, and make sure you use promo code AMBER in all capital letters to receive 15% off of your entire order. And so something else that I found really fascinating that I want to share with you guys is, manifestation. And when our bodies are out of alignment, whether you're struggling with emotional eating, or you're always in negative self-talk, or you're always having different physical symptoms and you're feeling unwell and it really impacts your mood, this really, I believe, impacts what we manifest. And I'll talk a little bit about, what I've witnessed over the years with manifestation in the different stages I've been in with my journey. And then specifically, I'll talk more about how emotional eating impacts what you manifest, because I'm sure a lot of you are interested in that because it has a direct impact, 100%. So one of the things that I noticed when I struggled with my food addiction was I kept manifesting men that I was dating who were alcoholics, who had anger issues, who also didn't feel good enough. And it's well, how ironic, because I was addicted to food. I hated my body. I didn't know how to handle stress. And here I am manifesting all these guys who were emotionally unavailable and also had their own compulsions. And I kept thinking, what the heck's going on? Why am I attracting these guys who are just not ready? I want to date, but I also was in this space where I'm I'm going to date a guy and find a guy who was going to fix me and put it all on him when it's no one else's responsibility but my own. But of course, when you're, I was 22 years old, I didn't know any better. So it's just very interesting how, from a space of manifestation, I really think we attract mirrors into our lives. And so if you look in that mirror and you don't like what you see, take a moment to step back and reflect within yourself to go, what do I need to change to attract something different? Because the irony of it is, I dated someone at the time when I was struggling with my food addiction who, I very much fell madly in love with and definitely thought he was the one. And it didn't work out at the time. And there was just such a deep connection. And I was so confused as to why, it didn't work out. And I just remember him saying one night to me, I feel like you're part of my family, but I just don't feel like I'm good enough and I'm not ready. And secretly inside, I wasn't feeling good enough or ready, but I just didn't realize it again. And what is so amazing is, the universe brought us together and took us apart. And here we are, 9 years later, and we've been in an amazing, loving, connected, beautiful, respectful relationship for the past 4 years, but we needed to disconnect to work on ourselves. And I do believe if you love something and you set it free and it comes back to you, it could be yours for forever. I'm such a sucker for love and romance and love stories. And I so believe in it because as I shifted, I then manifested that. And it's absolutely beautiful and it is totally possible. So that's relationship. We can manifest not what we want or what we want. And I saw that with friends as well. I was manifesting other friends who either had drinking problems or also struggle with emotional eating. And it's like we'd all get together and emotionally eat together because then it was okay because you're all doing it together, which is not actually okay. So I had to actually weed out a lot of friends who didn't understand, what I was going through, that I didn't want to eat with every activity that we did, or I didn't want to go to the bar because I was trying to heal something. And a lot of people just didn't understand. And they just would ask me what's wrong with you? How come you're not drinking? What's wrong with you? How come you're not eating this? And I got tired of people asking what was wrong with me because there was nothing wrong with me. I often think to ask, well, what's wrong with everybody else for wanting to go out and get loaded and wasted all the time and then, shove a bunch of garbagey foods into your body? Why is that so accepted by society? And why is it wrong when someone wants to pull back on drinking and minimize the amount of processed food they're taking? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So my friend circle significantly changed when I started doing my deeper emotional work. And I started then manifesting other friends and people into my life who believed in energy, believed in manifestation, were on their own healing journeys of their own, had a better understanding of what I was going through and were really, really supportive. And those were the kinds of people that I wanted to continue to support myself and surround myself with. One thing I also noticed when I was struggling with food addiction is I manifested a lot of lack. I never had any money. My bank accounts were always empty or in the red. I always just had crappy jobs. My bosses were always really controlling women. And I think part of that was because inside I needed to have a deep level of control and I was really unhappy and insecure with myself. So of course I kept attracting jobs where the owner or the boss was this very controlling, unhappy woman. And I was a huge people pleaser at the time. So I would take it very personally when the job wouldn't go well and I'd get in trouble. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, I dread going to work because I did not want to be around the energy of that other person. But I had no idea at the time that I kept manifesting the same kind of boss because I wasn't changing and working on myself. And again, the more essentially once I got to the place where I was finished school and started my business, I'm I'm done working for other people. I'm not meant to work for other people. I'm meant to work for myself. And when I have staff, I will treat them with respect and kindness and not the way that I've been treated. So I think that was also a level of manifestation, but I attracted a lot of lack. I attracted a lot of parking tickets, the odd fender bender. I attracted just a lot of situations and I'm why is this happening to me? But, this is something that I want to walk you through because whether you feel like you've manifested a broken ankle or a lack or, you're emotionally eating and you're manifesting things in your life that you don't want, I really want to talk to you about what I feel like these layers are about and why this happens. So, because this is definitely what used to happen to me. And what I've noticed now is if my body gets warm and if I were to say rebel and eat foods that made me warm, or I rebelled and didn't sleep and decided to stay up really late all the time, which I would never do because I love sleep too much. But if I decided to really rebel against my body and do things that just were not in alignment, this would impact what I manifest as well, because I witnessed this happen when I had periods of time in my business where I'd go too hard, not have enough work-life balance, and guess what would happen? I would notice I wouldn't make as much money. I wouldn't manifest ideal clients. I wouldn't have as many people book in, or people would cancel. I would attract other potential collaborative partnerships that were, not in alignment. The other people did not have the boundaries or expected me to do everything. I just think that there was so many signs for me that I wasn't necessarily aware of or able to catch right away that were showing me, something within myself is out of alignment, and that's why I'm attracting this. So if I can go inside me and see what's going on as to why I've manifested this, and if I'm not happy with it, then I can work on myself and make the changes and, shift what I'm manifesting. So I hope this makes sense, but I'm going to explain it a bit more in depth. So I really believe that there is a higher power in whatever you believe in. I, fully respect. I believe in the universe, though. I think that we live in this infinite universe where anything is possible. And I really believe that our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings and what we say to ourselves, it really gets thrown out into the universe, and then we get stuff brought back to us. So depending on what you're saying and thinking all the time and what you focus your energy on, I really believe is what you manifest. So what I often find for my clients, and you know, this is what used to happen for me, these layers, is I would get into a stride where I would, you know, kick the emotional eating. I'd get back into my workout routine. The inflammation would calm down. My bloating would get better. I'd lose the weight again. And it was at this place where I felt unstoppable. I felt confident. Ironically, though, at the same time, I still became more critical of my body because there was still this obsession about looking a certain way. And so that's where I would, you know, manifest these people or opportunities that were not in alignment, like the guys that I dated or the friends that weren't in alignment or the lack. And so I'm going to just give you an example of what this would look like more in depth, you know, when I would then get triggered to emotionally eat. And then so essentially what would happen is I'd get stressed out, I would emotionally eat. And then after I finished eating the foods that, you know, I wanted to binge on, I'd be bloated, I'd be in pain, I'd be gassy. I'd feel like I gained 10 pounds. I'd be retaining water. I'd feel really warm. I'd get a headache, brain fog, be dehydrated. I wouldn't be able to sleep that night because it was just so uncomfortably full. And, you know, when that started to happen, it's like this just spill effect, this overflow effect. Like my body couldn't handle me doing it again, especially the next day. So if I did it consecutive days in a row, it would get really bad. And so after the physical symptoms really started to express themselves, then, you know, I'd go on the scale and the scale would have gone up and then I wouldn't feel unstoppable. And, you know, then I'd realize and go, oh my gosh, no, I have to restrict because I don't want to gain weight. And then from there, you know, I'd be critical of my face because it'd be puffier. My clothes would be fitting tighter. And so I'd be critical of my body and start obsessing about the weight. And then, you know, this over time impacted my hormones, my thyroid, my liver, my cortisol levels. And then I'd get tired and my leaky gut got worse and I became sensitive to more foods. And then I had to take more supplements to try and, you know, deal with the symptoms that I was experiencing. And then I felt a lot of guilt and anger and frustration and hopelessness, like this would never end. And the thoughts of this experience would consume my mind and my joy. And from here, my lymphatic system would slow down more. And, you know, I'd have to take more magnesium to move my bowels. And, you know, my period cramps and my PMS symptoms would get worse. And like I mentioned, I'd have those emotions of things like frustration and anger. And I'm just so sensitive and I'd feel bad for hurting my body again, but I just didn't know how to stop. And I just say to myself, I'm sorry, body. Like I didn't mean to do that, but I don't know how to stop. And then I'd have this worry and fear of this negative impact that I'm having on my health. And, you know, this sadness would come up and it just feel like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I don't know how to stop. And so when we are experiencing symptoms like the physical symptoms I've been describing, and you have low energy and brain fog and poor memory and fatigue, and then you're feeling, you know, negative emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, guilt, worry, fear, anxiety, like, you know, the more burdened our bodies with symptoms, the more processed foods we eat and the more negative thoughts we think, our vibration drops. So we're all in an energetic vibration. And the more positive emotions you experience, the more positive people you surround yourself with, the better you sleep, the more you hydrate, the better you eat, the more confidence you feel about yourself. You're in a higher vibration, and the higher vibration you are in, the more easy it is for you to manifest what you want. When you're in these lower vibrations and you're always angry and irritable and frustrated and tired and overwhelmed because of your schedule and your weight, and you can't, you know, gain control over your eating and you're just not happy, you are naturally energetically in a lower vibration. And when we're in a lower vibration, we attract more lack. We attract things we don't want. And often then we use things like, you know, food to suppress our emotions. But when you're in high vibration, you attract more abundance and more high vibe opportunities. Your body can heal and get healthier. Your cells rejuvenate much more easy. I really believe in this, that there's this energetic spiritual component to our health that is largely overlooked. And that's why I wanted to delve more into it today, because I think it's a huge piece of the puzzle that is missing that we need to not miss anymore. It's not just physical. It's not just emotional. There are these other pieces as well, believe it or not. So what I would find is that when I emotionally ate, my vibration would drop, and then I would manifest more things I didn't want. And the more I could get above that, you know, my vibration would increase and I'd feel better, and you know, things would heal and I'd be happier. And I feel like now, bringing this to now in the food and body rebellion that I went through a few weeks ago, you know, I felt my vibration drop. I felt bad because I'm going, I don't want to feel warm. I don't want this to have negative implications on my liver and my lymphatic system and the things that I'm trying to improve. But at the same time, this is what is so important to remember. We're human. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't expect anyone else to be either. And so, I mindfully indulge. I will pick like one or two things maybe on the weekend or if we're going out for dinner or to someone's house if it feels in alignment, and sometimes I won't. But I find, my body can only handle a certain amount of indulgence before the inflammation starts to spill over and my body goes, I don't want anymore. And so if I'm to continue to push my body, and she's so vulnerable and she's also processing this trauma from this past food addiction, it can be a lot for your body to process. It's like when something really upsets you and you have to take time to feel your emotions and process them and just be with it before you can do anything about it. The same thing happens, when we're processing past memories and experiences. So I think it's so important that if we have a time where we go into body rebellion or we're frustrated with our symptoms, or, if you're emotionally eating, that you can have some compassion for yourself and that you can go, what, I know up to this point it hasn't gone exactly the way we wanted it to, but it doesn't mean it has to continue this way. And to be open to the possible learnings that could be there for you, because there's just so much to learn. Your body's always communicating with you with, hey, I'm feeling warm, Amber, can you just pay attention and maybe, don't eat that for a while again. And I'm like, okay, noted. Yeah, that's not something you want. So I'm going to do my best to limit that. But if for some reason I have it or I get warm, I don't react anymore. I don't get angry or feel bad or guilty about making my body inflamed. I go, you know what? It's a learning opportunity. It's an experience. I'm going to accept where my body's at. I'm going to accept my limitations. I'm going to accept my successes and where I'm at, because I'm a heck of a lot further ahead than I was 10 years ago, having no clue about any of this stuff. And it's to really sit in acceptance and curiosity and go, okay, if I'm feeling warm, what does my body need? Maybe she wants to sit in the sauna. Maybe a green juice would help. Maybe some meditation and deep breathing to just keep my nervous system calm. I'm going to go to bed a bit earlier tonight. I'm going to drink more water or just, whatever it is that I just feel like is going to help to cool me off. And what's so fascinating is when I let go of needing to fix the warmth and I just go, okay, what do I need to do here? And I tune into my body and see what she needs. There's no need to control it. There's no panic to get over it or to get it out of my body. And I swear when I am at ease with it and I accept it, it goes away much more quickly than if I'm trying to fight with it and fix it. And I often find that happens with a lot of people and their symptoms. The No Sugarcoating podcast is proud to partner with Organic Traditions. Organic Traditions is your go-to for all things superfoods. Family owned and operated from Canada, Organic Traditions provides you with the highest quality plant-based superfoods sustainably sourced from all over the world. They've recently launched their new Focus Fuel coffee, an instant coffee blend with lion's mane mushroom extract, MCTC8, the highest quality MCT oil powder, a blend of brain-boosting adaptogens, and the highest quality plant-based omega-3s. This drink is designed to get you energized, focused, and ready to tackle your day. Boost your brain health and improve memory and cognition with this instant mushroom coffee blend. Made with a coconut milk powder base, all you need to do is add water. You can learn more at www.organictraditions.com. And what's so fascinating is when we can release the body rebellion and learn to listen to our body's communication methods through our symptoms, right? So it's like you overbooked your schedule, you go all week, you didn't drink enough water, you didn't eat properly, now you're exhausted on the weekend. If you can go, wow, I'm exhausted, and instead of getting frustrated and anger, continuing to overbook your schedule, you stop and you look back on the week and go, that was too much. My body is communicating with me and I don't want to keep pushing her. So what do I need to change in my schedule? What do I need to take out of my schedule this weekend so that I can rest and really honor my body? Do I need to get a good water bottle and take it with me everywhere? Do I need to make sure I have my meals prepared ahead of time so that I have good food? Reflection and curiosity can really help us to understand our body's communication and what's going on and help us to build awareness. And from there, what is so powerful is we can make changes. We can take different action steps. If we're not aware of what's going on with our bodies, it's very hard to make changes. And if we truly do not take the time to learn this and understand this and take a different approach, not a lot will change. So when it comes to your body's communication methods, while in the beginning it can seem weird and awkward and frustrating or uncomfortable to not get mad at your body for giving you symptoms and to actually become curious, understanding, and forgiving of your body, and that your body's in this space for a reason. It's not for no reason, and that you have the power to change it. It really does become empowering. And now for me, if I do get the warm feeling here and there, I will, if I feel any guilt at first, because I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, body, I didn't mean to make you feel warm. I stop that and I go, I hear you, body. What do you need? And then if I'm not sure, I'll just try, doing a couple of things to just see how it makes my body feel. But I don't panic and stress about it anymore. And I don't get mad at my body because she is doing the best she can, and I just want to be there with her every step of the way. And I feel like I've made peace with her, and that I'm still, healing remnants of what was going on, and that's okay. I feel like I had gut issues from a very young age. I had to take antibiotics, I think, from a toddler age, and I think just a lot probably happened from there onward, and that's a lot of years of stuff to have to work on. So it's about compassion and forgiveness and being willing to work with your body instead of against your body. And that's where understanding your ego, addressing food and body rebellion, understanding how, our symptoms and negative self-talk and emotional eating and self-sabotaging behavior can impact what you're manifesting, because it is all connected, and understanding what your body's communication methods are is so important. It's a bit different for everybody. And that's why, if you're going, I really want to learn this stuff, I really want to change this, but I have no idea how, that's where getting support from a coach may be something that is in full alignment. And for some people, they may want to try and figure it out on their own. But I always say, if you've been struggling with this stuff for years and decades and you're still feeling like you're in the exact same spot, I would highly encourage you to get support. I just think, for me, if there's something that I can't figure out, I'll go to and get support from one of my intuitive mentors or someone that I feel like can help me, because I don't know it all either. And I'm not afraid to admit that. And the more we can, admit that and get the support we need, the sooner we will shift and heal. And I just think that is such a gift, and that is such a powerful thing. So holy, I shared a lot today. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Definitely a vulnerable episode for me to share, but I really wanted to share that, and I hope it makes sense and you understand. And if you don't, you can send me an email with a question. But the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca /podcast/226. If you have questions, feedback about the podcast, topic ideas, you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca. Again, make sure if you like the podcast, you leave a review on your phone or computer, and you can go to the app, search for the No Sugarcoating Podcast. From there, once you're on my main page, click reviews, write a review in purple, give me 5 stars if you like. And always remember, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health, food rebellion, body rebellion, emotional eating, hormones, digestion, whatever it is you think you may be struggling with. There's no better time than the present. So take action now. Have a beautiful day, a great week, and I will look forward to sharing a whole new podcast episode with you guys next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.